After the workshop, Ji-won stayed in the shop after everyone left. She sat on her Kawasaki, the bike that started everything. It looked a little more worn now. 3 months of regular riding showed on the paint and plastic, but it still ran perfectly, still sounded incredible, still felt like an extension of her body when she rode. She pulled out her phone and looked at Ms. Kim's business card. Professional racing. It was a risk. But wasn't everything worth doing a risk? She had risked everything 3 months ago when she accepted Min-jae's challenge. That risk paid off. Maybe this one would too. She called the number on the card. Ms. Kim answered on the second ring. "I want to join the program," Ji-won said. "I want to race." "Wonderful. I'll send you the registration forms." "Welcome to the association, Ji-won." When Mr. Park came back from his errand, Ji-won told him her decision. He hugged her tightly. "Your mother would be so happy." "I'm so happy." "I'm terrified," Ji-won admitted. "Good, fear means you care. Fear means it matters." Mr. Park smiled. "But don't let fear stop you. Let it sharpen you, make you better. More careful, more focused." That evening, the Thunderhawks came by one last time before closing. Min-jae's bike rebuild was almost complete. Just final adjustments remained. As Ji-won worked, Min-jae stood nearby watching quietly. Finally, he spoke. "I was wrong about you. About everything. You're not just a good mechanic. You're an exceptional one, and you're a better racer than anyone I know. I should have seen that from the beginning. I should have respected you. I'm sorry it took a public loss to teach me that lesson." It was a real apology, sincere and honest. Ji-won looked at him. The arrogant young man from 3 months ago was gone. In his place was someone more humble, more thoughtful, more mature. "Apology accepted," Ji-won said simply. "I heard you're joining the racing association. Going professional, amateur first, but yes, eventually professional. You'll be great." "I know you will," Min-jae paused. "And when you win championships, don't forget about us. The people you left in the dust on your way up." Ji-won smiled. "I won't forget." "How could I? You're the ones who made me prove myself. You challenged me. That made me better. Still, we were jerks." "Yes, you were. But people change." "You changed," Min-jae nodded. "Thanks for fixing my bike. For teaching us. For being patient with us. You're welcome. Come back anytime." After the Thunderhawks left, Ji-won finished the day's work. She cleaned her tools and organized the workbench. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. New bikes to fix, new riders to teach, and now new races to prepare for. She walked outside and looked at the shop sign, Park's Motorcycle Repair. Her family's business, her legacy. It had almost been lost, but they saved it together, father and daughter, family and hard work and skill. Above the shop, the evening sky was painted orange and purple. The sun was setting, a beautiful end to a good day. Ji-won thought about her mother, about the photograph she had left at the grave, about the legacy of racing that ran through her family. She pulled out her phone and looked at photos from the race. The moment she crossed the finish line, the shock on Min-jae's face, the joy on her father's face. The moment everything changed, but really she realized nothing had changed. She was still the same person, still a mechanic who loved motorcycles, still someone who worked hard and believed in doing things right. The victory didn't change who she was. It just revealed who she had always been. A text arrived from Taeyang. "Heard you joined the association. Proud of you. Training starts next month. Come to my shop and we'll prepare. You're going to do great things." Another text from Sora. "Thank you for everything. You changed my life. I signed up for the beginner racing class. I'm so nervous but so excited." Another from Sang-hoon. "Good luck with the racing association. We're all cheering for you. The Thunderhawks are your biggest fans now. Who would have thought?" Ji-won smiled at the messages. 3 months ago, she was just a mechanic working in a struggling shop. Nobody knew her name. Nobody respected her work. She was invisible. Now she was visible, known, respected, not because she demanded it, not because she forced it, but because she earned it. Through skill, through courage, through victory. She walked back into the shop. Mr. Park was locking up for the night. Ready to go home? Almost. One more thing. Ji-won walked to the corner where her Kawasaki sat. She started the engine. That deep, powerful sound filled the shop. The sound that had shocked everyone 3 months ago. The sound that announced she was serious, that she was dangerous, that she was a competitor. She let it idle for a moment, then turned it off. The shop became quiet again. What was that about? Mr. Park asked, just remembering. 3 months ago when I started this engine at the race, everything froze. Everyone realized I wasn't a joke. I wasn't just the mechanic girl. I was a racer. A real one. And now? Now I need to prove it again. On bigger stages. Against better competition. But I'm ready. I think I've always been ready. I just needed the chance to prove it. They locked up the shop and walked to the car. The evening was cool and peaceful. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to prove herself. But tonight Ji-won just felt grateful. Grateful for her father, for her friends, for her skills, for the shop that had been saved. For the second chance at life that racing gave her, she looked back at the shop one more time before they drove away. The lights were off now. The building looked quiet and normal. Just another small business on a city street. But Ji-won knew better. That shop was special. It was where dreams were built, where skills were learned, where impossible bikes were created from ordinary parts and extraordinary knowledge. It was where a young woman proved that being underestimated was just an opportunity. An opportunity to surprise people, to exceed expectations, to show that real value isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet and deep and earned through work. As they drove home, Mr. Park asked, "Are you happy?" Ji-won thought about it. About the shop thriving, about the racing opportunity, about the respect she had earned, about the young women she was inspiring, about her mother's legacy continuing through her. "Yes," she said simply. "I'm happy, and I'm ready. Whatever comes next, I'm ready." The car merged into traffic. The city lights twinkled around them. Somewhere out there, other young people were working on their own dreams, building their own bikes, preparing for their own challenges. Some would succeed, some would fail, but all of them were trying. That was what mattered. Ji-won had been one of them. An underdog, someone nobody believed in. But she proved them wrong, not with words, not with complaints, but with action, with skill, with victory. And now she was just getting started. The race 3 months ago was just the beginning. The first chapter in a longer story, a story about a mechanic girl who became a racer, about a small shop that became successful, about a family that survived and thrived. It was a good story, and it wasn't finished yet. The best chapters were still ahead. New races to win, new challenges to overcome, new people to inspire. But for tonight, Ji-won was content. She had done something impossible. She had proven herself. She had saved her family. That was enough. That was everything. The car drove through the night carrying her home. Tomorrow would come soon enough. With new work, new dreams, new possibilities. But tonight belonged to rest and reflection, to gratitude and satisfaction. To the simple joy of a job well done, she closed her eyes and smiled. Whatever tomorrow brought, she would face it. Just like she faced that race 3 months ago, with courage, skill, and the deep knowledge that she was good enough. She always had been. She just needed the chance to prove it, and prove it she did. 3 months passed like a river flowing steadily forward. Each day brought new work, new challenges, and new growth. The shop that had been struggling was now thriving. The calendar was booked solid for the next 2 months. The phone rang so often that Mr. Park had to hire someone to answer calls and schedule appointments. Ji-won sat at the workbench on a Tuesday morning. In front of her was an engine that didn't look like much. But she knew better. This was the beginning of something special. Another custom build, another chance to transform ordinary into extraordinary. The shop looked different now. The walls had been repainted. Bright white instead of faded yellow. New lighting had been installed. Proper LED panels that made everything clear and visible. The old tools remained, but they were organized better now. Everything had its place. Everything was clean and accessible. The biggest change was the sign outside. It still said Park's Motorcycle Repair, but underneath, in smaller letters, it now read, Custom Performance Builds, Ji-won Park, Master Mechanic. That addition had been her father's idea. He said people needed to know who did the work, who they could trust. At 9 a.m. the first customer arrived. It was Sora, the young woman from race night. She had become a regular. Ji-won had rebuilt her bike's suspension and taught her basic maintenance. Now Sora came by every week, sometimes just to talk, sometimes to learn, She wasn't the only one. Good morning, Sora said brightly. She carried 2 coffee cups. She handed one to Ji-won. I brought your usual. Black, no sugar. Thank you, Ji-won said. You're early today. I know. I wanted to ask you something. Sora looked nervous. I've been practicing what you taught me about cornering technique, and I've gotten faster, much faster. I was wondering, do you think I could race, like actually compete? Ji-won smiled. This question came up a lot now. Young riders, especially young women, wanted to race. They had seen Ji-won's victory. They knew it was possible. Do you want to race? I think so. I'm scared, but also excited. Is that normal? Completely normal. Being scared means you respect the danger. Being excited means you're ready to try. Ji-won wiped her hands on a rag. Tae Yang runs beginner racing classes. Safe environment. Professional instruction. I can give you his number. Really? That would be amazing. Sora pulled out her phone. Tell me everything about the classes. As Ji-won explained, more customers arrived. The shop filled with the sounds of work. Wrenches turning. Engines running. People talking about motorcycles and modifications and racing. It was the sound of a healthy business. A living business. Around 10 a.m. the Thunderhawks arrived. This had become routine. They came twice a week for various services. Min-jae's bike was still in the shop, partially disassembled. The full rebuild Ji-won was doing would take another month, but Min-jae didn't complain. He stopped by regularly to check progress and ask questions. Today Sang-hoon brought his bike for a final check. Ji-won had rebuilt his suspension last month. Today was the test ride to verify everything was perfect. "Want to come with me?" Sang-hoon asked. "Test ride in the hills. Make sure everything feels right." Ji-won looked at her father. Mr. Park nodded. "Go. I can handle things here for an hour." They rode north into the hills outside the city. The roads were empty and winding. Perfect for testing a bike's handling. Sang-hoon pushed his Suzuki through the corners, fast but controlled. He had learned a lot in 3 months. His riding was smoother now, more confident, less aggressive and more intelligent. After 30 minutes, they stopped at an overlook. The city spread out below them. From up here it looked small and peaceful. "The suspension is perfect," Sang-hoon said. "Better than it's ever been. I can feel the difference in every corner." "Good. That's what we were going for. I've been thinking about what you said, about how racing isn't just about going fast. It's about understanding your bike. Working with it, not against it." Sang-hoon looked out at the view. Min-jae is learning that too. Slowly. He's different now than he was before. "People can change," Ji-won said. "He wants to apologize to you. Really apologize. Not the forced one from race night. But he doesn't know how. Pride is still his weakness. He doesn't need to apologize. He honored the bet. He pays his bills. He respects me now. That's enough. You're generous. Most people would make him grovel. What's the point? Making someone feel bad doesn't make me feel good. I won. The shop is saved. Everything worked out. That's what matters." They rode back to the city. The wind was cool and fresh. The sky was clear blue. Ji-won felt free on her bike, like she could go anywhere, do anything. The world felt open and full of possibility. Back at the shop, an unexpected visitor was waiting. A woman in a business suit stood next to a luxury car. She looked professional and important. Mr. Park was talking with her, looking slightly overwhelmed. "Ah, Ji-won," Mr. Park said. "This is Miss Kim. She's from the Korean Motorcycle Racing Association." Miss Kim extended her hand. "Ji-won Park, I've heard a lot about you. The young woman who beat the Thunderhawks on a bike she built herself. Very impressive." "Thank you," Ji-won said, shaking her hand. "I'm here with an offer. The association is creating a new program. We want to support talented young riders, especially women. We're offering sponsorships, training, and opportunities to compete in official races, professional circuits. I'd like you to join the program." Ji-won was surprised. Professional racing? Amateur level first, but with a path to professional competition. We'll provide funding for entry fees, safety equipment, and some travel costs. In return, you'll represent our program and hopefully inspire more young women to join the sport. It was a serious offer, a real opportunity. But Ji-won hesitated. "I appreciate the offer, but I have responsibilities. The shop needs me. My father needs me." Mr. Park put his hand on Ji-won's shoulder. "Don't make decisions based on me. If you want to race, you should race. We can hire another mechanic to help here. The business is stable now. You earned that stability. Don't let it become a cage. But Dad, your mother raced because she loved it. It made her happy. It made her feel alive. Mr. Park's voice was emotional. I took that away from you by making you promise never to race. I was scared. I'm still scared. But I can't let my fear stop you from living your life. If you want to race, race. You have my blessing. You have my support. Ji-won felt tears in her eyes. Are you sure? I'm sure. You're a racer, Ji-won. It's in your blood. In your heart. Denying that is like denying who you are. Ms. Kim smiled. Think about it. Here's my card. The program starts next month. We'd love to have you. After Ms. Kim left, Ji-won sat with the business card in her hands. Professional racing. It was a dream she thought had died with her mother. But now it was alive again. Real. Possible. Hae-jin arrived at lunchtime with food. When she heard the news, she practically exploded with excitement. You have to do it. This is amazing. Do you know how rare this is? How special? I know. But I'm scared. What if I'm not good enough? What if I crash? What if I fail? What if you succeed? Hae-jin countered. What if you become a champion? What if you inspire thousands of young women to follow their dreams? Stop thinking about failure. Think about possibility. That afternoon, Ji-won taught a workshop. She had started doing this monthly. Free classes for young people interested in motorcycle mechanics. Mostly women, but some men too. Today, 12 students sat in the shop, listening as Ji-won explained suspension geometry. One girl, maybe 16 years old, raised her hand. Do you ever feel like people don't take you seriously? Because you're a woman? All the time, Ji-won answered honestly. Even after winning races. Even after proving myself. Some people still think I got lucky. Or that I had help. Or that I'm not as good as male mechanics. How do you deal with it? I let my work speak for itself. I don't argue with people who've already decided not to respect me. I just keep building better bikes and riding better races. Eventually, the work proves the point better than words ever could. The students nodded. They understood. They had experienced similar doubts and dismissals. Sunday morning came with bright sunshine. Ji-won woke up sore. Every muscle in her body ached. Her shoulders hurt from holding her riding position. Her hands were stiff from gripping the handlebars. Her legs felt like rubber. Racing took more physical effort than she had expected. She checked her phone. 53 messages, most from numbers she didn't recognize. She scrolled through them. People asking about bike repairs. Questions about custom work. Requests for modifications. One message made her smile. It was from Sora, the young woman from last night. Thank you for talking to me. You're an inspiration. I'll definitely visit your shop. Ji-won got dressed slowly. Her racing leathers from last night were draped over a chair. They smelled like exhaust and sweat and victory. She would wash them later. For now, she wanted to remember the smell of success. At breakfast, Mr. Park was reading something on his tablet. He looked up when Ji-won entered. You're famous. The race video has over 100,000 views. People are calling you the giant killer. The what? Giant killer. Because you defeated the Thunderhawks. They're the biggest crew in the city. You're the small shop girl who brought them down. Mr. Park showed her the screen. Comments flooded the video. Most were positive. Some were amazed. A few were skeptical, claiming the race was fixed. People think it was fake? Ji-won asked. Some people always think that. When something unexpected happens, they can't accept it. They need a conspiracy to make sense of it. Ignore them. You know the truth. Everyone who was there knows the truth. They ate breakfast together. Toast and eggs. Simple food. Comfortable food. The kind of meal that reminded Ji-won that despite everything that happened last night, life was still normal. She was still the same person. She just happened to have beaten the best street racers in the city. What do we do now? Ji-won asked. We open the shop, Mr. Park said simply. We work, same as always. Except now we have more customers and better income. The bills will get paid. The shop will survive. And the Thunderhawks? They'll come around. Pride is a hard thing to swallow. But Min-jae made a public bet. He has to honor it. If he doesn't, his reputation is finished. He knows that. At 9 a.m., they opened the shop. By 9:15, the first customer arrived. It was a young man with a Honda CBR. He had seen the race video. He wanted Ji-won to work on his bike. Make it faster, better balanced. Like her Kawasaki, it won't be cheap, Jiwon warned him. Custom work takes time, and parts cost money. I don't care, the young man said. I watched what you did. How you built something special from something ordinary. I want that for my bike. I want something built with knowledge, not just expensive parts thrown together. Jiwon scheduled him for next week. She would need to examine his bike carefully, create a plan, order the right parts, do the work properly. No shortcuts. More customers came throughout the day. Some wanted simple repairs. Some wanted full custom builds. Jiwon and her father worked steadily. They wrote down every request, made lists of parts to order, scheduled appointments. The calendar was filling up fast. Around 2 p.m., Heejin arrived with lunch. Noodles and dumplings from the restaurant down the street. They ate together in the shop. Between bites, Heejin showed Jiwon more social media posts about the race. You have fan accounts now, Heejin said. People making artwork of you. Writing stories. You're like a folk hero. That's embarrassing, Jiwon said. That's awesome, Heejin corrected. Do you know how rare this is? A woman in the street racing scene winning against all the top guys. With a bike she built herself. This matters to people, especially young women who like motorcycles but feel excluded from the culture. Jiwon thought about Sora, the nervous young woman who had approached her after the race. Maybe Hyejin was right. Maybe the win meant something beyond just saving the shop. At 4 p.m., a familiar sound approached the shop. Loud motorcycle engines. Expensive ones. Jiwon looked up. 5 bikes were pulling up outside. The Thunderhawks, Mr. Park tensed. Should I close the door? No, Jiwon said. Let's see what they want. Minjae entered first. He looked different than last night. Less confident. More uncomfortable.
His friends followed behind.
They all looked around the shop nervously. We need work done, Minjae said. His voice was flat. No emotion. What kind of work? Jiwon asked professionally. My chain is loose again. Sang-hoon needs an oil change. The others have various small issues. Minjae wouldn't make eye contact. We can come back if you're busy. We can fit you in, Jiwon said. Standard rates. Or in your case, triple rates as per our agreement. Minjae flinched at the reminder. Right. Triple rates. Jiwon and her father worked on the Thunderhawks bikes. The atmosphere was awkward. Nobody talked much. Minjae stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching. His friends tried to make small talk, but it died quickly. As Jiwon adjusted Minjae's chain, Sang-hoon approached. That was a good race last night. Really good. I've been thinking about it all day. Thank you, Jiwon said. I learned something watching you. I've been so focused on having the best parts, the most expensive equipment. But you taught me that setup matters more. Understanding matters more. I want to learn that. Would you teach me? Jiwon looked up surprised. You want me to teach you? Yeah, about tuning. About balance. About making a bike work as a complete system. Not just about bolting on expensive parts. Sang-hoon glanced at Minjae. Some of us need to learn that lesson. I can do that, Jiwon said. It'll take time, though. There's a lot to learn. I have time. When the work was done, Minjae paid. His hand shook slightly as he counted out the money. Triple rate for 5 bikes added up to a significant amount. But he paid without complaining. He had to. Everyone was watching. As the Thunderhawks prepared to leave, Minjae stopped at the door. He turned back to Jiwon. For a moment, he seemed like he wanted to say something. Then he just nodded slightly and left. That was progress, Mr. Park said after they were gone. Small progress, but progress. The week continued like that. More customers every day. The phone rang constantly. The calendar filled completely. Mr. Park had to turn people away and schedule them for next month. The shop hadn't been this busy in years. On Wednesday, Tae-yang visited. He looked around the shop with approval. Business is good, I see. Very good, Jiwon confirmed. All thanks to Saturday night. You earned it. You proved your skill. Tae-yang handed her a folder. This is information about amateur racing leagues. Official competitions. Not street racing, legitimate racing with safety standards and regulations. I think you should consider it. Jiwon opened the folder. Inside were registration forms, race schedules, and requirements. Professional racing? Amateur first. But yes, with the goal of going professional eventually. You have talent, Jiwon. Real talent. It would be a waste to only race in the streets. You could compete at a higher level. I don't know. The shop keeps me busy, and racing costs money. I'm offering to sponsor you. I'll cover entry fees and basic costs. In return, you'll represent my shop. It's good promotion for both of us. Taeyang smiled. Think about it. You don't have to decide today. After Taeyang left, Jiwon sat with the folder. Professional racing. It was something she had dreamed about as a little girl. Before her mother died. Before the promise to never race. But now the promise was broken. And she had discovered something important. She loved racing. Not just building bikes. Not just fixing them. But riding them. Competing. Pushing herself to the limit. On Friday evening, the Thunderhawks returned. Again. This time Min-jae looked less hostile. Still not friendly, but not openly aggressive either. Regular maintenance, he said. All 5 bikes. As Jiwon worked, Min-jae actually asked a question. How did you know to take that line on the hairpin turn? The late apex approach. I've never seen anyone do it that way. Jiwon considered not answering, but she decided honesty was better. My mother invented that technique. She used it in her races years ago. My father taught it to me. Your mother raced? She was very good. One of the best in her time. Jiwon paused. She died in a racing accident when I was 10. Min-jae was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry. I didn't know. How would you know? I don't talk about it much. Is that why you race? To honor her memory? Partly. But also because I discovered I love it. The speed. The challenge. The feeling of complete focus. When I'm racing, nothing else exists. Just me and the bike and the road. Min-jae nodded slowly. I understand that feeling. It was the first real conversation they had. Not friendly exactly, but human, real. Both of them were racers. Both understood what it meant to love motorcycles and speed and competition. Over the next week, something shifted. The Thunderhawks kept coming to the shop. At first just for repairs. Then they started asking questions. About tuning. About setup. About how Jiwon made her modifications. She shared her knowledge freely. Some of them listened. Some learned. Sang-hoon became a regular student. He came by 3 times a week. Jiwon taught him about suspension geometry, about engine timing, about weight distribution. He absorbed everything like a sponge. He wanted to learn. That made him a good student. Even Min-jae slowly began to change. He still didn't apologize properly. He still was proud and arrogant sometimes. But he stopped making jokes about Jiwon. He stopped being dismissive. He started asking genuine questions. He started respecting her knowledge. The celebration around Jiwon was loud and chaotic. People she didn't know were patting her on the back. Strangers were taking photos with her. The crowd pressed close, everyone wanting to be part of the moment. But through all the noise, Jiwon noticed Min-jae. He sat alone on his bike, staring at the ground. Sang-hoon walked over to Min-jae. He put his hand on his friend's shoulder. Hey, it was a good race. I lost, Min-jae said. His voice was flat, empty. I lost to a girl on a bike that looks like it came from a junkyard. You lost to a skilled rider on a well-built machine, Sang-hoon corrected. There's a difference. Min-jae shook his head. He couldn't accept it. His pride was hurt too badly. There has to be something wrong. She must have cheated somehow. That bike can't be legal. The crowd started chanting. Check the bike! Check the bike! The marshal raised his megaphone again. Attention! There's been a request to inspect both bikes, to make sure everything was legal and fair. We'll do that now. Taeyang stepped forward. I'll inspect them. I'm qualified and neutral. Everyone agreed. Taeyang was respected. If he said the bikes were legal, everyone would believe him. Jiwon wheeled her Kawasaki to an open area. Min-jae reluctantly did the same with his Yamaha. Taeyang approached both bikes with a professional eye. He started with Min-jae's bike. He checked the engine displacement. He examined the exhaust system. He looked at the fuel injection setup. He checked the tire size and type. Everything was heavily modified. Expensive aftermarket parts everywhere. Carbon fiber body panels, titanium exhaust, racing ECU, professional-grade suspension. This bike is legal, Taeyang announced. All modifications are within street racing rules. Very expensive, but legal. Min-jae looked slightly relieved. At least his bike wasn't the problem. Then Taeyang moved to Jiwon's Kawasaki. The crowd pressed closer to watch. Everyone wanted to see what secrets the old bike held. Taeyang started his inspection. He looked at the engine first. He checked the cylinder bore. He examined the pistons. He studied the camshafts. His expression showed respect as he worked. After several minutes, he stood up. This engine has been bored out approximately 3 millimeters, Tae-yang explained to the crowd. The pistons are custom-made. The connecting rods are balanced to the gram. The cylinder head has been ported and polished. The valves are titanium. The fuel injection mapping is custom. The work is exceptional, professional level, but all within the rules. He moved to the suspension next. The forks have been rebuilt with racing springs and modified damping. The rear shock is custom-tuned. Again, excellent work. All legal. He checked the exhaust, the brakes, the tires, every system. Finally, he stood up and addressed the crowd. This motorcycle is completely legal. Every modification follows street racing rules. But more importantly, this is some of the best custom work I've seen in years. Whoever built this bike understood exactly what they were doing. They didn't just bolt on expensive parts. They engineered a complete system. This is the work of a true master mechanic. The crowd erupted in applause. Tae-yang turned to Ji-won. You built this yourself? Yes, sir, Ji-won said. Over 2 years, Tae-yang smiled. You have a gift. This bike is beautiful, not on the outside, but where it matters. In the engineering, in the balance, in the attention to detail. He turned to Min-jae. Your bike has more expensive parts, but her bike is better balanced, better tuned. Money can buy components, but it can't buy skill. It can't buy understanding. She won because she's a better builder and a better rider. That's the truth. The crowd cheered again. Min-jae's face went red. He looked angry and embarrassed. This was worse than just losing. This was being told publicly that he was inferior. That his expensive bike and his experience didn't matter. That the girl he had mocked was simply better than him. Sang-hoon saw his friend's expression. He knew Min-jae well. He knew that pride was Min-jae's weakness. And right now that pride was wounded deeply. Min-jae, Sang-hoon said quietly, you need to honor the bet. Everyone heard it. Everyone knows what you promised. I'm not doing it, Min-jae said through clenched teeth. What? I said I'm not doing it. This whole thing was a joke. A setup. That bike is too good. She had help. Professional help. This wasn't fair. Sang-hoon grabbed Min-jae's arm. Don't do this. Don't be that guy. You made a public bet. You have to honor it. No. Min-jae pulled his arm away. I'm not paying her triple, and I'm definitely not apologizing. The marshal heard the conversation. He walked over. His face was serious. There's a problem? No problem, Sang-hoon said quickly. We're just discussing payment arrangements. Min-jae needs to honor the bet, the marshal said. His voice was hard. In this community, we keep our word. Bets are sacred. If people don't honor their bets, the whole system falls apart. The bet was based on a fair race, Min-jae argued. But this wasn't fair. Look at her bike. That's professional level work. She probably had a whole team helping her. I built it alone, Ji-won said. She stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm. Every part. Every adjustment. Just me and my father's tools. Nobody helped me. I earned this win. I don't believe you, Min-jae said. The crowd started getting angry. People began shouting, Pay up, Min-jae. Don't be a sore loser. Honor the bet. Other racers pushed forward. Some were friends of the Thunderhawks, some were rivals. But they all agreed on one thing. Bets had to be honored. A tall racer named Jun-ho stepped forward. He was the leader of a rival crew called the Night Riders. Min-jae, I've never liked you. You're arrogant and rude, but I respected you because you were a good racer. Don't lose that respect now. Honor the bet. Be a man. Another racer spoke up. If you back out of this bet, nobody will race you again. Nobody will trust you. Your reputation will be destroyed. Min-jae looked around. He saw the angry faces. He saw his own crew members looking uncomfortable. Even his friends thought he should honor the bet. He was trapped. If he backed out, he would be finished in the street racing scene. But if he honored the bet, his pride would be crushed. Sang-hoon leaned close to Min-jae and whispered, Brother, I love you like family. But you're wrong here. You lost fairly. She beat you with skill. Just accept it. Honor the bet. We'll recover from this. But if you don't honor it, we're done. The Thunderhawks are finished. Everyone will know we're cowards who back out of bets. Min-jae was quiet for a long moment. His jaw was clenched tight. Finally, he spoke. Fine, I'll honor the bet. The crowd's anger turned to cheers. The marshal nodded with approval. Good. Now make your payment and your apology publicly so everyone can witness it. Min-jae walked toward Ji-won. His steps were slow. Every step seemed to hurt his pride. He stood in front of her. The crowd went quiet to hear what he would say. Congratulations, Min-jae said. The word sounded forced, like it was pulled out of him with pliers. You won. Fair and square. And the apology? The marshal prompted. Min-jae's face got even redder. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. I apologize. For underestimating you. For making jokes about your bike. For being disrespectful. It wasn't a warm apology. It wasn't even a particularly good apology. But it was an apology. And everyone had heard it. And the payment terms? Ji-won asked. Her voice was steady. Professional. Triple payment for all repairs, Min-jae said. Forever. As agreed. Starting with tonight's work, Ji-won added. I fixed 5 bikes. That'll be $1,500 at triple rate. Min-jae looked like he had been punched. $1,500. Just for basic repairs. But a bet was a bet. He pulled out his wallet and counted out the money. His hands were shaking slightly. Whether from anger or embarrassment, nobody could tell. He handed the money to Ji-won. She took it calmly and counted it. Thank you for your business. The Thunderhawks are always welcome at our shop. That was a classy move. She won with grace. She didn't gloat. She didn't mock him back. She just accepted the win and moved on. Some people in the crowd noticed this. Their respect for Ji-won grew even more. The tension broke. The crowd started to disperse. Some people came up to Ji-won to congratulate her. Others wanted to talk to her about working on their bikes. Word was spreading fast. The mechanic girl who beat the Thunderhawks was talented. Really talented. A young woman approached Ji-won. She looked nervous. Hi, I'm So-ra. I race sometimes. I saw what you did tonight. It was amazing. Thank you, Ji-won said. I was wondering, could you maybe work on my bike sometime? I can't afford the fancy shops. But I need someone good. Someone who understands bikes. Of course, Ji-won said. Come by the shop anytime. We'll take care of you. More racers approached. Each one asking about services, about modifications, about custom work. Ji-won's phone was filling with new contacts, new potential customers. The win was already paying off. Taeyang approached Ji-won last. He handed her a business card. This is my shop. I run a professional racing workshop. I train mechanics and riders. If you're interested in learning more, come see me. I think you have real talent. Not just for building bikes, but for racing too. Ji-won took the card with both hands. A sign of respect. Thank you, sir. This means a lot. You earned it. Tonight you proved something important. That skill and hard work can beat money and ego. That's a lesson everyone here needed to see. He glanced at Min-jae, who was standing with his crew looking miserable. Especially some people. The moment the marshal's hand dropped, everything exploded into motion and sound. 5 Thunderhawks bikes launched forward. Wheels spun. Tires smoked. The sound was deafening. 5 powerful engines screaming at once. The riders all knew how to launch. They had done this hundreds of times. They shot forward like bullets. Ji-won didn't try to match their aggressive start. She released the clutch smoothly. Her bike moved forward with controlled power. Not slow but not wild either. Smooth and calculated. Just like her father had taught her. The first 100 meters was a straight shot. The Thunderhawks pulled ahead immediately. They had more power. Newer technology. Better traction control. Min-jae was in first place. Sang-hoon right behind him. 3 other Thunderhawks filled the next positions. Ji-won was in 6th place. Dead last, the crowd roared. This was what they expected. The expensive bikes dominating. The old Kawasaki falling behind. Some people started laughing again. Maybe that engine sound was just for show. Maybe the bike looked fast but wasn't. But then came the first turn. A wide sweeping right-hander. The Thunderhawks braked hard. Their bikes had powerful brakes. Carbon ceramic discs. Top-grade brake pads. They slowed down fast and turned hard. Ji-won saw her opportunity. She didn't brake as hard as they did. She carried more speed into the corner. She took a different line. A wider entry but a tighter exit. As the Thunderhawks finished their turn, Ji-won was accelerating while they were still setting up. She passed 2 riders on the corner exit. Now she was in 4th place. The 2 riders she passed looked confused. How did that old bike carry so much speed through the corner? Their bikes were better. Weren't they? Sang-hoon glanced back. He saw Ji-won closer than she should be. His expression changed. This wasn't going to be easy. The second straightaway was shorter, only about 200 meters. The Thunderhawks accelerated hard. Their bikes pulled ahead again. Min-jae was still in first. Sang-hoon in second. Another Thunderhawk in third. Ji-won dropped back to fourth, but she wasn't worried. She was learning the course, learning how the other riders moved, learning their patterns. She noticed Min-jae took aggressive lines. He wanted to dominate every meter of road. Sang-hoon was smoother, more calculated. The other Thunderhawks were less experienced. They followed Min-jae's lead without thinking for themselves. The next section was technical, a series of S-curves, left, right. This required smooth transitions, weight shifting from side to side. The rider had to flow with the bike. Force it and you'd lose time. Work with it and you'd gain speed. The Thunderhawks approached the S-curves with confidence. They had expensive suspension, computer-controlled damping. Their bikes should handle perfectly. But handling isn't just about parts. It's about setup. It's about understanding weight distribution. It's about knowing exactly how your bike responds to input. Ji-won had spent 2 years perfecting her suspension setup. Every spring rate was chosen specifically. Every damping adjustment was tested. She knew exactly how her bike would respond to every input. She entered the S-curves behind the third-place Thunderhawk. She was smooth through the first left turn, smooth through the right. As the series of curves continued, she closed the gap. Her transitions were faster. Her lines were better. Her bike was balanced perfectly. By the exit of the last S-curve, she was right behind the third-place rider. He saw her in his mirror and panicked slightly. He accelerated hard to try to pull away, but he was rough with the throttle. His bike wobbled slightly. Ji-won stayed smooth. She pulled alongside him on the next straight section. They were side by side for a moment. Then she pulled ahead. Third place now. The crowd was getting louder. This wasn't supposed to happen. The mechanic girl was actually racing, actually competing. This wasn't a joke anymore. Mr. Park stood at the edge of the crowd. His hands were clenched into fists. His heart was pounding. He wanted to look away but couldn't. His daughter was racing, really racing. And she was good. Maybe even great. Ye-jin was recording everything. Her hands were shaking, but she kept the camera steady. "Come on, Ji-won," she whispered. "Come on." Taeyang watched with a small smile. He had suspected the girl had talent. Now he was seeing proof. She rode with intelligence, with control. That was the mark of a real racer. The racers completed the first lap. They came back around to the start-finish line. Min-jae was still first. Sang-hoon second. Ji-won third. The other Thunderhawks were in fourth and fifth. One had fallen far behind after making mistakes in the curves. As they passed the start line, the crowd erupted in noise. People were screaming and cheering. The betting odds were changing rapidly now. 10-1 against the girl. 5-1. "I'll take those odds. Put everything on her." Min-jae heard the crowd's reaction. It made him angry. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be a joke. But the mechanic girl was actually keeping up, actually threatening his lead. He twisted his throttle harder. He pushed his bike to go faster. His Yamaha R1 responded with more power. It was a beautiful machine, fast and sophisticated. But Min-jae was riding with emotion now, not with strategy. The second lap began. The first turn came again. This time Ji-won was ready. She knew the corner now. She knew how much speed she could carry. She braked later than before. She entered the turn faster. Sang-hoon was ahead of her. She was right on his back wheel. Through the turn, she stayed tight to his line. On the exit, she accelerated hard. She pulled alongside him. They rode side by side down the next straight. Sang-hoon tried to pull ahead, but Ji-won's bike was faster than it looked. They were even. Into the next turn, Ji-won took the inside line. Sang-hoon had to give way or they would crash. He backed off slightly. Ji-won took second place. Now only Min-jae was ahead of her. The leader. The arrogant one. The one who had laughed at her bike and made jokes about her ability. Min-jae saw Ji-won move into second place. His face inside his helmet was red with anger. This wasn't right. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He pushed harder. He went faster into the corners. He braked later. He was riding at the edge of his ability, maybe beyond it. Ji-won didn't try to match his aggression. She rode her own race, smooth and controlled. She let Min-jae make mistakes. And he did make mistakes, small ones. A wobble here, a wide line there. Each mistake cost him a fraction of a second. Ji-won gained on him slowly, meter by meter, corner by corner. She was learning something important. His bike was faster in a straight line, but her bike was better balanced, better set up, and she was a better rider. The S-curves came again. This was where Ji-won gained the most time. Min-jae's lines were aggressive but not efficient. He forced his bike through the turns. Ji-won flowed through them. By the exit of the S-curves, Ji-won was right behind Min-jae, close enough to see his exhaust pipe clearly, close enough to plan her pass. The crowd was going crazy now. People were jumping and shouting. This was the best race they had seen in months, maybe years. The underdog was actually fighting, actually competing for the win. Then came the hairpin turn, the one Tae-yang had warned Ji-won about, a tight 180-degree turn at the halfway point of the course. It was sharp and difficult. Most riders hated it. They braked early and turned wide to be safe. Min-jae approached the hairpin at high speed. Too high. At the last moment, he realized his mistake. He braked hard, very hard. His front tire locked briefly. He released the brake and grabbed it again. His bike wobbled. He barely made the turn. He went wide and almost hit the wall on the far side. Sang-hoon, coming in behind Min-jae, saw the near crash. He panicked. He braked much earlier than he needed to. Way too early. He lost all his momentum. Ji-won saw both mistakes happening in front of her. She remembered Tae-yang's advice. Brake late, turn sharp. Accelerate early. She approached the hairpin carrying more speed than either Min-jae or Sang-hoon. At the last possible moment, she braked hard but controlled. Her bike's balance was perfect. The suspension compressed evenly. The tires gripped the road. She turned sharp, much sharper than the Thunderhawks. She used a late apex line. Instead of turning early and wide, she went straight, turned late, and aimed for the inside of the corner exit. As her bike came around the hairpin, she was already accelerating while Min-jae was still recovering from his wobble. She shot past him on the inside, first place. The crowd absolutely exploded. The sound was incredible. Hundreds of people screaming at once. This was impossible. This wasn't supposed to happen. The mechanic girl on the old bike had just taken the lead from the Thunderhawks. Min-jae couldn't believe it. For a moment, he just stared. Then rage took over. He accelerated hard, too hard. His bike's rear wheel spun. He lost time trying to catch back up. Sang-hoon was steadier. He didn't panic. He accelerated smoothly and started chasing. But Ji-won had gained a significant lead. 3 bike lengths, maybe 4. Mr. Park had tears in his eyes. His daughter was leading the race. His daughter was beating riders with better bikes and more experience. Pride filled his chest so much it hurt. Heejin was screaming and recording at the same time. Yes, yes! Go Ji-won, go! Even some of the Thunderhawks' friends in the crowd were cheering now. This was too exciting not to cheer for. This was pure racing. Skill versus equipment, heart versus money, and heart was winning. The industrial district at night looked like a different world. Old warehouses lined both sides of the street. Most were empty now. The businesses had moved away years ago. But tonight the area was full of life. Motorcycle engines roared. People shouted and laughed. Music played from car speakers. Lights from dozens of phones and cameras lit up the darkness. Ji-won rode her Kawasaki slowly through the crowd. People moved out of her way, but not with respect. They moved because they had to. Their eyes barely noticed her. She was just another rider. Just another person who would probably lose. She spotted Heejin standing near the start line. Her friend waved. Ji-won rode over and parked her bike. She took off her helmet. The night air felt cool on her face. You're here, Heejin said. She looked nervous. Are you ready? As ready as I can be, Ji-won replied. Everyone is talking about you. Min-jae told everyone about the bet. He's making it sound like a joke. Like you're just entertainment before the real racing starts. Ji-won said nothing. She was used to people underestimating her. Let them think what they wanted. She would show them the truth soon enough. The Thunderhawks were parked on the other side of the starting area. Their bikes gleamed under the lights, chrome and paint polished to perfection. Each bike probably cost $30,000 or more. Maybe 40,000 with all the modifications. Min-jae saw Ji-won arrive. He nudged his friends and pointed. They all turned to look. Then they started laughing. Min-jae walked over. His friends followed. They moved like a pack. Like they owned the place. You actually came, Min-jae said. He looked at Ji-won's Kawasaki and shook his head. And you brought that thing. I almost feel bad now. This isn't even going to be a race. It's going to be an execution. His friends laughed. One of them took out his phone and started recording. Make sure you get this, Min-jae said to his friend. This is going to be the funniest thing we see all year. Sang-hoon, Min-jae's second-in-command, looked a little uncomfortable. Min-jae, maybe we should just forget about it. She's here. That takes guts. Let's just call it off. Call it off? Min-jae looked at Sang-hoon like he was crazy. Are you kidding? This is comedy gold. Look at her bike. Look at our bikes. This is going to be hilarious. More people gathered around. They wanted to see what was happening. Someone in the crowd recognized Ji-won. Hey, that's the mechanic girl from Park's shop. She fixed my bike last month. She's racing? Another person asked. Against the Thunderhawks? On that old thing? This I've got to see. The crowd got bigger. People pulled out their phones. Within minutes, dozens of people were filming. The story was already spreading. The mechanic girl versus the Thunderhawks. It sounded like a joke. It probably would be. Someone started taking bets. 50-1 odds against the girl. Who wants action? I'll put $50 on the Thunderhawks. Someone shouted, 100 on Min-jae. 200 says the girl doesn't even finish. Ji-won heard all of it. Every laugh. Every bet against her. Every joke. She felt her face get hot. But she didn't respond. She just stood next to her bike and waited. Hee-jin moved closer. Don't listen to them. They're idiots. I know, Ji-won said quietly. But it still hurts. Then use it. Get angry. Channel it. Make them eat their words, Ji-won nodded. Her friend was right. The anger could be useful. It could give her an edge. It could make her focused. More racers arrived. This was a big night for the street racing scene. Multiple races were scheduled, but everyone was talking about one race. The mechanic girl versus the Thunderhawks. It was the undercard, the comedy act. The race people would watch while they waited for the real competition. At 9:45 p.m., an older man pushed through the crowd. He looked to be in his 50s. He wore a leather jacket with racing patches sewn onto it. His hair was gray and his face was weathered. This was Tae-yang. Everyone in the racing scene knew him. He had been a professional racer 15 years ago. He had competed at the national level. Now he ran a racing shop and sometimes came to watch the street races. Tae-yang walked past the Thunderhawks without looking at them. He walked straight to Ji-won's Kawasaki. He stopped in front of it. He was very still, very quiet. His eyes moved over every part of the bike. He crouched down and looked at the exhaust, then the suspension, then the tires. His expression didn't change, but his eyes got more focused. This bike, Tae-yang said quietly. Who built it? I did, Ji-won answered. Tae-yang stood up. He looked at Ji-won for the first time. Really looked at her. All of it? The engine? The suspension? Everything? Yes, sir. All of it. Tae-yang walked around the bike slowly. He touched nothing, but he saw everything. The exhaust note was different when you rode in. Deeper than stock. The stance is lower. Maybe 15 millimeters. The tires are Michelin Power GP. Those are professional racing tires. Very expensive. Ji-won was surprised. This man knew motorcycles. Really knew them. Yes, sir. You have a good eye. I used to race professionally. You learn to notice details. Tae-yang looked at the bike again. What's the power output now? About 40% above stock, Ji-won said. She saw no point in lying. This man would know anyway. Tae-yang nodded. Impressive. That's serious work. How long did it take you? 2 years. And you're racing it tonight? Against them? He pointed toward the Thunderhawks. Yes. Why? Ji-won hesitated. But something about this man made her want to tell the truth. There's a bet. If I lose, I work on their bikes for free for a year. My father's shop can't afford that. We're barely surviving as it is. I have to win. Tae-yang's expression softened. I understand. But street racing is dangerous. People make mistakes. They panic. They crash. I've seen riders die on these streets. Good riders. Experienced riders. I know the risks, Ji-won said. Do you? You've built a racing bike. That takes skill and knowledge. But have you ever raced? Really raced? With other riders inches away? At high speed? In the dark? No, Ji-won admitted. This is my first race. Tae-yang was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. The course tonight has a hairpin turn at the halfway point. Most riders brake too early. They're scared of it. But if you brake late and turn sharp, you can gain 3 seconds on the exit. Maybe more. That could be the difference between winning and losing. Ji-won looked at the older man with surprise. Why are you helping me? Because I respect people who build their own bikes. Because I hate seeing talent wasted. And because those boys need to learn that expensive bikes don't make you a good rider. He pointed at Min-jae. They think money is everything. It isn't. Skill is everything. Heart is everything. Thank you, Ji-won said. Tae-yang nodded. Good luck. Ride smart, not reckless. Coming in second is better than not finishing at all. He walked away. Min-jae had been watching the interaction. He looked annoyed. What did the old man want? Min-jae called out. He was just looking at my bike, Ji-won called back. He was probably trying to find something good about it. I bet he couldn't find anything. Min-jae's friends laughed, but Sang-hoon wasn't laughing anymore. He had watched Tae-yang examine the bike. He had seen the serious expression on the old racer's face. That wasn't the reaction to a piece of junk. That was the reaction to something real. At 9:55 p.m., the race marshal called everyone to attention. He was a large man with a loud voice. He worked as an organizer for the street racing scene. He kept things fair. He made sure bets were honored. Listen up, the marshal shouted. First race tonight is special. We have a challenge race. Min-jae and the Thunderhawks versus Ji-won Park. The course is 3 laps through the industrial circuit. Standard rules apply. No weapons. No ramming. No blocking on straightaways. First bike across the finish line wins. Everyone understand? The crowd cheered. More people had shown up. Word had spread. This was going to be entertaining. Bring your bikes to the starting line, the marshal ordered. The Thunderhawks rode their bikes forward. Engines roared. The sound was impressive, loud and aggressive. 5 expensive motorcycles lined up side by side. They looked like machines from the future. All angles and power and speed. Ji-won put on her helmet. She started her Kawasaki, not yet at full volume. Just a quiet start. She rode forward slowly. She parked her bike at the end of the line, away from the Thunderhawks alone. The contrast was stark. Their bikes looked new and aggressive. Her bike looked old and tired. It wasn't a fair comparison. At least that's what everyone thought. Look at that lineup. Someone in the crowd laughed. It's like comparing a sports car to a lawnmower. More laughter. More phones recording. This was going to be great entertainment. Mr. Park stood at the edge of the crowd. His face was tight with worry. Heejin stood next to him. She held her phone up, ready to record everything. She's going to be okay, right? Heejin asked. I hope so, Mr. Park said. He didn't sound confident. The marshal raised his hand. Racers, prepare your bikes. On my signal, start your engines. This was it. The moment everything would change. Ji-won's hands were sweating inside her gloves. Her heart was pounding. She took deep breaths. In and out, slow and steady. She needed to be calm. Panic would make her lose. Calm would give her a chance. She thought about her mother, about the photograph in her jacket pocket, about the shop, about her father's worried face, about every person who had ever underestimated her because she was young or female or different. Monday morning came too early. Ji-won had barely slept. Her mind was full of calculations and plans. She needed to finish the Kawasaki in 5 days. 5 days to complete 2 years of work. 5 days to get everything perfect. She arrived at the shop before sunrise. Her father was already there. He had made coffee. 2 cups sat on the workbench. Steam rose from them in the cold morning air. Mr. Park handed 1 cup to his daughter. We should talk about the plan, he said. Ji-won nodded. She pulled out a notebook. Inside were drawings and notes. Years of planning. Every modification was documented. Every change was calculated. The engine is almost done, Ji-won explained. I've bored it out slightly. The cylinders are balanced. I've installed custom pistons. The fuel injection is mapped perfectly, but I need to test it under real conditions. Mr. Park studied the drawings. His finger traced the modifications. This is good work. Really good. Where did you learn to do this? From watching you. From reading books, from online forums, Ji-won paused, and from Mom's old racing notebooks. The ones you keep in the office? Mr. Park looked surprised. You found those? Years ago. I've read them 100 times. Mom was a genius with engines. She understood things that most mechanics never learn. Yes, she was. Mr. Park's voice was soft. She could hear problems in an engine that others couldn't detect with computers. They drank their coffee in silence. Outside, the sun started to rise. Light came through the shop windows. It made the old Kawasaki look almost beautiful. I need to tell you something, Mr. Park said. About your mother. About the accident. Ji-won looked at her father. They never talked about the accident. Not in 9 years. Everyone said she was going too fast, Mr. Park continued. Everyone said she took too many risks. But that wasn't true. I was there that day. I saw what happened. Another rider cut her off. He was showing off. He wasn't paying attention. Your mother had no choice. She could hit him or she could swerve. She chose to swerve. She saved his life. But she lost hers. Tears appeared in Ji-won's eyes. She didn't brush them away. I don't want you to race because I'm afraid, Mr. Park said. Not afraid that you're not good enough. Afraid that someone else will be careless. Afraid that someone else will make a mistake that costs you everything. I understand, Dad, Ji-won said, but I can't live in fear. And I can't let people like Min-jae push us around. We need to stand up. We need to show them that skill matters, that knowledge matters. Not just money. Mr. Park reached out and put his hand on Ji-won's shoulder. Then let's make sure you have every advantage. Let's build the best bike we can build. For the next 5 days, they worked from sunrise to midnight. Ji-won's best friend Hye-jin visited on Tuesday evening. She brought food and worried expressions. You're really going to race them? Hye-jin asked. She set down bags of noodles and rice. Ji-won, those guys have been racing for years. Their bikes cost a fortune, I know, Ji-won said. She was adjusting the Kawasaki suspension. Her hands were steady as she turned the adjustment screws. Then why are you doing this? Is it really worth the risk? Ji-won stopped working. She looked at her friend. Hye-jin had been there through everything. Through her mother's death. Through the hard years when the shop almost closed. Through high school when other kids made fun of Ji-won for smelling like motor oil. The shop is failing, Hye-jin, Ji-won said honestly. Dad doesn't say anything, but I see the bills. I see how worried he looks when he thinks I'm not watching. We're barely making enough to keep the doors open. If I work for free for a year, we'll lose everything. This shop is all we have. It's all Dad has left of Mom. Hye-jin sat down on the floor next to Ji-won. I didn't know it was that bad. We don't tell people. Dad is proud. He doesn't want charity. Ji-won went back to work on the suspension. But if I win this race, we'll get triple payment from the Thunderhawks. They use expensive bikes. They need a lot of repairs. That money could save us, and if you lose, I won't lose. Hye-jin watched her friend work. Ji-won's confidence was impressive, but Hye-jin was still worried. Have you ever raced before? Really raced? Ji-won was quiet for a moment. No, not officially. But Dad has been teaching me. And I've practiced. Late at night when the roads are empty. I know what I'm doing. Knowing and doing are different things, Hye-jin said, I know. But I don't have a choice. Wednesday came with new challenges. The engine was complete, but Ji-won needed to test it. She couldn't test it during the day. Too many people would hear. Too many questions would be asked. So she waited until midnight. Mr. Park went with her. They drove to an empty industrial area outside the city. The roads were long and straight. No other cars were around. Ji-won put on her helmet and started the Kawasaki. The engine roared to life. The sound was incredible. Deep and powerful. Nothing like the quiet hum it made before the modifications. Mr. Park's eyes widened. He hadn't expected this. How much power is it making? He shouted over the noise. About 40% more than stock, Ji-won shouted back. Maybe more. I won't know exactly until I push it. Be careful. Ji-won nodded. She rolled the throttle slowly. The bike moved forward, smooth and controlled. She shifted through the gears. First, second, third. The acceleration was strong. The bike wanted to go faster. She could feel it. On an empty straight section, Ji-won opened the throttle fully. The Kawasaki launched forward like it had been shot from a cannon. The speedometer climbed rapidly. 60 miles per hour, 80, 100. The old bike frame stayed stable. The suspension handled perfectly. Everything worked exactly as Ji-won had planned. She braked hard at the end of the straight. The new brake pads grabbed strong and smooth. She turned around and rode back to where her father waited. His face was a mixture of pride and fear. "It's fast," Mr. Park said. "It's perfect," Jiwon corrected. Thursday and Friday were for final details. Jiwon checked every bolt. She tested every system. The brakes, the suspension, the chain tension, the tire pressure. Everything needed to be exactly right. On Thursday night, Mr. Park brought out a box from his office. Inside were his old racing leathers. They had belonged to Jiwon's mother. They were dark blue with white stripes. A little worn, but still good. "She would want you to have these," Mr. Park said. Jiwon held the leathers carefully. They smelled old but clean. Her father had kept them all these years. She tried them on. They fit almost perfectly. A little loose but comfortable. "Thank you, Dad," Jiwon said. That night, Mr. Park taught Jiwon racing techniques. He explained how to take corners at high speed, how to brake late and accelerate early, how to read the road surface, how to watch other riders and predict their movements. "Your mother had a special technique for hairpin turns," Mr. Park explained. "Most people brake early and turn wide. But she would brake late, turn sharp, and accelerate hard on the exit. She called it the late apex method. It's risky, but if you do it right, you gain time on every corner." Jiwon practiced the movements in her mind. She visualized every turn, every shift, every brake point. She needed to be ready. Friday evening came too quickly. Tomorrow was race day. Jiwon couldn't eat dinner. Her stomach was tight with nerves. She sat in the shop staring at the Kawasaki. Heejin came by one more time. She sat next to Jiwon without saying anything. Sometimes friendship didn't need words. Finally, Heejin spoke. "I'll be there tomorrow. At the race. I'll film everything, so you can watch it later and see how amazing you were." "What if I'm not amazing?" Jiwon asked. "What if I crash? What if I freeze up?" "You won't, I know you. When you decide to do something, you do it perfectly. That's who you are," Jiwon smiled a little. "Thanks. But seriously, if you die, I'm going to kill you." They both laughed. It felt good to laugh. The tension broke a little. Mr. Park emerged from the office. He had something in his hand. It was a small photograph. He gave it to Jiwon. The photograph showed a young woman standing next to a motorcycle. She was smiling. She looked strong and confident. She looked like Jiwon. "Your mother the day she won her first race," Mr. Park said. "She was 20 years old. Everyone had bet against her. Everyone said she couldn't win. But she proved them all wrong." Jiwon looked at the photograph. She saw herself in her mother's face. The same determined expression. The same fire in the eyes. "Keep this with you tomorrow," Mr. Park said. "For luck. And to remember that you come from a line of women who don't give up." Jiwon carefully put the photograph in her jacket pocket. Right over her heart. "Get some rest," Mr. Park said. Tomorrow is a big day. But Jiwon couldn't rest. After her father went home, she stayed in the shop. She sat on the Kawasaki. She closed her eyes and went through the race in her mind. Every turn, every straightaway, every gear shift. She visualized crossing the finish line first. She visualized winning. Around midnight, she finally went home. But she didn't sleep well. Dreams mixed with worries. She saw herself racing. Sometimes she won. Sometimes she crashed. Sometimes Min-jae laughed at her. Sometimes the crowd cheered for her. When morning came, Jiwon felt tired but focused. Today was Saturday, race day. Tonight, everything would change. Either the shop would be saved or they would lose everything. She got dressed slowly. She ate a small breakfast. Her father tried to talk to her, but she could barely hear him. Her mind was already at the race, already on the bike, already fighting for everything that mattered. The clock on the wall showed 9:47 p.m. Jiwon Park wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. She was covered in grease and oil. Her black hair was tied up in a messy bun. Small strands stuck to her face. She wore an old blue coverall that was 2 sizes too big. It had belonged to her father once. The motorcycle shop was quiet now. Her father had gone home an hour ago. He told her not to stay too late. But Jiwon had work to finish. In the corner of the shop sat an old motorcycle. It was a 1990s Kawasaki Ninja. Most people would call it junk. Most people would be wrong. Jiwon stood up and stretched her back. It hurt from bending over the workbench all day. She walked to the small refrigerator and pulled out a cold bottle of water. As she drank, she looked at the old Kawasaki. It had been her secret project for 2 years. Nobody knew what she was building. Not even her father. The sound of loud engines broke the silence. Ji-won turned toward the front of the shop. Through the glass door, she saw bright headlights. 5 motorcycles pulled up to the shop. They were expensive bikes. Each one probably cost more than her father made in a year. The engines were loud and aggressive. They were modified to sound powerful. The riders turned off their engines. They got off their bikes and removed their helmets. Ji-won recognized them immediately. They were the Thunderhawks. Everyone in the street racing scene knew them. They had money, expensive bikes, and big egos. The leader was a young man named Min-jae. He was 21 years old with styled hair and designer riding gear. He always acted like he owned the world. Min-jae pushed open the shop door. The bell above it rang. He walked in like he owned the place. His friends followed behind him. They looked around the shop with smirks on their faces. The shop was old and small. The paint on the walls was fading. The tools were worn but well maintained. Everything was clean but clearly old. "Is anyone here?" Min-jae called out loudly. He knew someone was there. He had seen the lights on. Ji-won stepped out from behind the workbench. She still had grease on her face and hands. Her coverall was dirty from a full day of work. She looked at the 5 young men standing in her father's shop. "We're about to close," Ji-won said calmly. "But what do you need?" Min-jae's friends started laughing. One of them, a guy named Sang-hoon, nudged Min-jae with his elbow. Min-jae smiled in a way that was not friendly. "You're the mechanic?" Min-jae asked. His voice was full of doubt. "One of them," Ji-won replied. "What's the problem with your bikes?" "We have races this weekend," Min-jae said. He walked closer to Ji-won. "We need quick service. My chain needs adjustment. His brake pads need checking." He pointed at his friends. "Can you handle that? Or should we wait for the real mechanic?" Ji-won had heard comments like this 1,000 times. People saw a 19-year-old girl and assumed she didn't know anything. They assumed her father did all the real work. They assumed she just answered phones or cleaned the shop. They were always wrong. "I can handle it," Ji-won said. "Bring them in." The Thunderhawks wheeled their bikes into the shop. Ji-won noticed everything about the motorcycles immediately. Min-jae rode a Yamaha R1. It was new and heavily modified. But the modifications were expensive, not smart. Someone had spent a lot of money making it look fast. Sang-hoon's Suzuki GSX R1000 was better balanced. At least that rider understood his machine a little. As Ji-won worked, the Thunderhawks walked around the shop. They touched things without permission. They made jokes about the old equipment. One of them spotted the Kawasaki Ninja in the corner. "Yo, what is this piece of junk?" he called out. The others walked over to look at it. They started laughing. "Does this thing even run?" another one asked. "Looks like something from a museum," Min-jae added. He kicked the front tire lightly. "You should just throw this away." Ji-won said nothing. She kept working on Min-jae's chain. Her hands moved with practiced skill. She loosened the adjustment bolts, checked the tension, and made the corrections. It took her less than 10 minutes. The job that Min-jae expected to take an hour was already done. "Your chain is adjusted," Ji-won said. "Bring the next bike." Min-jae walked over. He looked at his bike with suspicion. He checked the chain himself. His expression changed. The adjustment was perfect. The tension was exactly right. He had paid expensive mechanics who didn't do work this good. "Not bad," he said. He tried to sound unimpressed, but Ji-won could hear the surprise in his voice. She worked through all 5 motorcycles. Each repair was done quickly and perfectly. The Thunderhawks became quieter as they watched her work. Even they could see she knew what she was doing. Her hands moved with confidence. She didn't need to think about what to do. She just did it. When Ji-won finished the last bike, she wiped her hands on a rag. "That's everything. You can pay at the counter." Min-jae pulled out his wallet. As he counted money, he kept looking at the old Kawasaki in the corner. An idea came into his mind. It was not a kind idea. "So that bike in the corner," Min-jae said, "is that yours?" "Why do you want to know?" Ji-won asked. "Just curious. You fix bikes, but do you ride them? Sometimes? Like real riding? Or just around the neighborhood?" Ji-won knew where this was going. She had seen guys like Min-jae before. They always wanted to prove they were better. They always wanted to put people down to make themselves feel big. "I can ride," Ji-won said simply. Min-jae smiled. It was the smile of a person who thought they had found an easy target. The Thunderhawks are racing this Saturday night. Underground circuit in the industrial district. You've probably heard of it. I've heard of it, Ji-won said. Well, since you're such a good mechanic and you say you can ride, maybe you should race with us. Min-jae's friends started grinning. They knew what was coming. Unless you're scared. I'm not interested, Ji-won said. Why not? We'll even make it interesting. Let's make a bet. Min-jae leaned against the counter. If you race and you lose, you work on our bikes for free. For 1 whole year, every repair, every tune-up free. And if I win? Ji-won asked. She knew she shouldn't engage, but something in her was tired of being disrespected. Min-jae laughed. If you win, which you won't, we'll pay triple for all our repairs forever. And we'll apologize publicly, in front of everyone at the races. His friends laughed too. They thought this was the funniest thing in the world. A mechanic girl on an old junk bike racing against them. It was a joke. They would have a funny story to tell. You're serious about this bet? Ji-won asked, completely serious. Unless you're too scared to race against real riders. Ji-won looked at Min-jae. She looked at his friends. They were all smiling like they had already won. They had no idea what that old Kawasaki in the corner really was. They had no idea what Ji-won had been building for 2 years. They saw what they wanted to see. An old bike. A young girl. An easy target, I accept, Ji-won said. The smiles on the Thunderhawks' faces got even bigger. Min-jae pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I'll send you the details. Saturday night, 10 p.m. Don't be late. And don't bring that piece of junk. Oh wait, that's probably your only bike. He laughed at his own joke. Ji-won gave him her number. The Thunderhawks paid for their repairs and left. Their loud engines echoed down the street as they drove away. The shop became quiet again. Ji-won stood alone in the silence. She walked over to the old Kawasaki and put her hand on the seat. The leather was worn but comfortable. She had replaced it herself. Under the old paint and scratched plastic was something special. Something nobody could see by looking. The door to the back office opened. Ji-won's father stepped out. Mr. Park was a man in his 50s with gray hair and strong hands. He looked tired. He had been listening to everything. Ji-won, he said quietly, tell me you didn't just agree to race the Thunderhawks. Ji-won turned to face her father. I had to. No, you didn't. You could have said no. Dad, if I lose, I work on their bikes for free for a year. Do you know how much that would cost us? We can't afford that, and if you get hurt? Mr. Park's voice was heavy with worry. We definitely can't afford that. Ji-won walked to her father. I won't get hurt. I know what I'm doing. You taught me well, and Mom taught you well. Mr. Park's face changed when she mentioned her mother. Ji-won's mother had been a racer. A good one. She had died in an accident when Ji-won was 10 years old. After that, Mr. Park had made Ji-won promise never to race. He couldn't lose his daughter the same way he lost his wife. You promised me, Mr. Park said. I know, and I'm sorry. But this is different. This isn't about excitement or proving something. This is about keeping our shop alive. You've seen the bills. You know we're struggling. We can't afford to work for free for a year. Mr. Park sat down on an old stool. He suddenly looked very old and very tired. That bike, he said, pointing at the Kawasaki. How long have you been working on it? 2 years, Ji-won admitted. I wanted to surprise you when it was finished. Is it finished? Almost. I need 5 more days. Mr. Park was quiet for a long time. Finally, he stood up. He walked to the Kawasaki and looked at it closely. Really looked at it. He saw the small changes. The new exhaust that looked old. The lowered stance. The racing tires hidden under normal-looking wheels. You built a racing bike disguised as junk, Mr. Park said. Yes. Your mother would have loved this. He almost smiled. Almost. And she would have killed me for letting you race it.